Good evening. Jessica LoPiccolo, 35 Crumlin Trail in Mahwah, New Jersey. Mr. Giacobbe, in speaking towards people that are still disappointed in the settlement agreement, I just want to speak on behalf of myself. The settlement agreement, as executed, fails to address any issues whatsoever this township faced in the summer of 2017, nor does it provide the township with one single concession nor guidance moving forward that's in actual writing. To the contrary, the settlement agreement is the foundation for more questions, more disputes, and likely further litigation against the township. It's evident from numerous public and private statements by all those involved and third parties that the settlement at worst is the product of duress, and at best the product of poor management, misguided legal advice, and unclear understanding of the terms of the settlement agreement. It is in either event, the settlement agreement is arbitrary, unreasonable, and capricious, and subject to immediate challenge. Unfortunately, as a resident of Mahwah, there's not much I can do, and there's not much more the residents can do. Now we're dealing with a bunch of variables that are going to have to take place after. I'm happy to know that there's a meeting set up with the rabbi. Hopefully some communication will come out of that. I have a few questions that I'd like to ask in regards to that. Also about just hearing, who was the lead in the settlement? How did this come about? Was the council aware that Cleary Giacobbe represents tax appeals for the town of Lakewood, New Jersey, represented by the borough of Lakewood? Anybody here on the council know that prior?
Prior, no, but as it went on, yes.
Okay. Mr. Giacobbe, were you aware that Cleary Giacobbe represents the borough of Lakewood for tax appeals?
No.
Do you find that to be a conflict of interest at all?
Not at all.
Interesting.
I represent about 20 different municipalities in various capacities.
Okay. So you see no conflict of interest there?
No.
Just put that on the record. Okay.
What's your point?
I don't really need to explain myself. Just want to put it on the record.
You want to put on the record that they represent...
I think you represent our town, and when doing due diligence before hiring any type of legal representation to represent the community, that we should
What
be...
does the town of Lakewood have to do with anything?
What?
Besides the fact that it has a Jewish community. Is that your point?
No, that's not my point, actually. If you're doing due diligence to find out representation for legal counsel, there could be a conflict of interest and a breach of confidential information that could be translated.
You know what? Don't speak anymore. Those are very serious...
Excuse me, sir.
Those are very...
Excuse me, sir. I'm a resident.
Those are very serious allegations that you are alleging that a law firm breached confidence because they represent the community.
No.
Please don't say that.
I'm saying...
Please don't say that.
Okay. You can tell me what you don't like to hear, but I'm allowed to say something.
You look at any RFQ, every firm is going to put who they represent. So was the council aware? Yeah.
I can tell you that besides you, I've also had legal representation look at this and attorneys, and all of them also saw a conflict of interest here. So I'm not going to be fear-mongered by you sitting up here telling me to be quiet.
This is what I like. Who are they? Who are these mythical attorneys?
Oh, who's the mythical attorney?
Yeah.
Conrad O'Lear, who's a Mahwah resident as well.
And he said there's a conflict of interest.
No, he said that it's noted to point that out. Yes.
I don't know what noted to point that out means.
So I don't understand. Am I not allowed to get up here and ask a question?
You asked your question.
Okay, so then why are you pushing it?
You're making serious allegations.
I'm actually not making any allegations. I'm asking a question. And if you found it to be a conflict of interest, I asked your opinion and you responded to it. Now you're being confrontational for no reason whatsoever.
Because you was asserted
Okay.
that it was a conflict of interest. That someone represented Lakewood.
I asked you if you felt it was. That's an opinion question.
I don't think that's the way you stated it.
Did I not ask you the question of it? I didn't state that it was. I asked you if you felt that way.
I didn't respond, please.
Don't put words in my mouth, sir. Do not. Lastly, I'd like to know, does the settlement agreement require Berea to seek council approval for any further expansion of the Eruv?
Yes, they have to give us notice.
Okay, and what does that notice entail? Because I didn't really see that in the settlement, like specifics.
I don't have the settlement in front of me, but there is a notice provision that if they intend to change, modify, alter, expand, they have to alert the town.
Okay. Okay, and lastly, I'll just say, for being Mahwah resident and attending as much meetings as I have, Mr. Giacobbe, your behavior right there was unacceptable. Thank you.
I'm just gonna add one thing. I found out about something also afterwards. I found out about, Gerald Windsor and how she was involved with the Simon Wiesenthal Foundation too. And it just was miraculous that all of a sudden that we ended up with having one thing to happen. And before you know it, we had someone who was representing them, who was on the same board as she was here, which just so happened to be someone else's best friend who's sitting on our dais. So all I'm going to lead to that is that there was a lot of miraculous things that started to occur that we started to find out afterwards. And, you start to put piecing things together. That's all. And it just, we have where we are and go forward.